Number 10, FNAF Go. So this game has not actually been finished, but it is a thing that has a page on GameJolt. The page for it describes it as a FNAF fan game inspired by Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Oddly enough, it's not the only FNAF fan game I've seen that has made reference to Pokemon, which is a little weird, but also kind of makes sense, I guess. Although this one obviously would like to do a lot more to blend those two worlds together. As weird as it sounds, this is basically what we got with Special Delivery, which a lot of people love, so although it's definitely still a weird premise for a game, it also seems to be a profitable one. But hey, just because something is weird, doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad idea. I think it's important that we, say that just because we're calling something weird doesn't mean we're calling it bad. But sometimes we're also calling it bad.
Coming in at number 9, Purple Guy Simulator. Purple Guy Simulator isn't exactly the weirdest game. I mean, it's been something that I was actually asking for, but I preferred it in VR. But straight up, I love the fact that there is a Purple Guy Simulator. Going around a Freddy's Pizzeria killing kids and shoving their bodies into animatronic suits until you get caught by the cops is certainly something that I find blissful. It's relaxing, running around trying to find a kid who's alone so you can shove a knife in their chest and then try to hide their body before any other kid or parents can find it. Great. My biggest question though is, why do parents keep bringing their kids to these restaurants if children keep going missing there? Like, who thought that the continued attendance to Freddy Fazbear's was a good idea? Hell, if someone sneezed the wrong way, somewhere, my father would prevent us from stepping foot within the same block as whatever that establishment was on. Given the current situation, it would have been reasonable, but like when I was 8, it certainly wasn't. But like either way, I'm dressed as the purple guy for a reason. I love this game.
Number 8, Bonnie Simulator. Speaking of weird yet cathartic simulators, here's another one for you, Bonnie Simulator. Like Connor, I too find this game both strange and delightful. But while Purple Guy Simulator is a game that I think many of us wanted in a weird way, I'm not sure if anyone was demanding a Bonnie Simulator, and yet I cannot deny it's pretty fun. The question that the creator of this game has been asked before is, why do we just play as Bonnie in the simulator, which takes place during FNAF 1? Why none of the other animatronics? Well, that's because they only had so much time to make this sim, and Bonnie is their favorite animatronic. I can't fault them for that. Although I gotta say, I would love to see their take on a Foxy sim, as Foxy is my favorite animatronic.
Coming in at number 7, Five Nights at YouTube Office. How would you feel working at the YouTube home office? I'm sure plenty of you would think that that would be a dream come true. However, apparently, at least according to this game, please don't sue us YouTube, apparently there are YouTubers that sleepwalk into the office, and there are also certain YouTubers that haunt the office, whatever that means, since from what I can tell all these YouTubers are still alive at the time of recording, and certainly at the time the game was made. Basically, this game works as a FNAF 2 clone with YouTubers instead of the animatronics, where PewDiePie is the puppet. Understandably. Having to wind a music box to get him to stay chill. Because if you don't, you'll get the ultimate bro fist to the face and then get cancelled for associating yourself with PewDiePie. That's right, the imminent threat in this game isn't death, it's cancellation. Social death.
Number 6, Day Shift at Freddy's. Wow, this is a weird game for so many reasons. But even as we discussed as early as point 10 on this list, weird isn't always bad. This game is definitely weird, but it's also definitely great. In this game, you play as an entertainer slash Freddy's general staff member who walked around inside the spring lock suit at Freddy's location entertaining children. Of course, it's not all fun and games. Not only is there a lot to watch out for and a lot of work to be done, but there's also some fan-related jokes within this game that are pretty hilarious and also hilariously bizarre. Basically, Day Shift at Freddy's has got it all, and if you haven't experienced this bizarre gem, I highly recommend you go over to GameJolt and do so now. Although, fair warning, it is a mature game. Day Shift at Freddy's is also only one game within its own franchise, so there's also more to play if you fall in love with it.
Halfway through into number 5, Five Nights at the Chum Bucket. After the Krusty Krab was burnt to the ground by a rogue animatronic worker, the sole living survivor of the Inferno was taken captive by the robot's malevolent controller. When the player awakes, they are to find themselves trapped and located inside the security room in the Chum Bucket. Within the first and second night, the business official who talks to the player discovers that there is another survivor who is trying to save the player. The business official then decides to allow the other survivor to come in and find the player in order to kill them both. The player once again has to survive for 6 nights like in the first game against the animatronic onslaught as they wait for their savior, the man behind the door. Get it? Because it's like the man behind the slaughter. While its predecessor game, Five Nights at the Krusty Krab, is certainly something, Five Nights at the Chum Bucket just seems even weirder. Like, why? Why would the Krusty Krab burn down if it's underwater? And why would we be kidnapped and placed in the Chum Bucket? What the ever-loving heck is going on in this godforsaken game? But you know what? 10 points for creativity.
Number 4, Five Nights in Anime 2. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, Five Nights in Anime has a sequel. Oh boy, and the hits just keep on coming. Also, I should note that this is also not the only sequel to this game. I believe there's also a sister location version of this, which I think, you know, Circus Baby, I guess that's what we all want. I don't know. This version of Five Nights in Anime is even more bizarre, as it's really just more of the same stuff with the same tropes, but this time parodying, you guessed it, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. My question is, if this is a parody in the exact same vein, did we really need a sequel? Didn't we already get through the joke? Although I will say, having played a bit of these games, they're actually pretty well put together. I don't know what's happening here, but there must have been people asking for this sequel, as it is a thing that we got. Also, let's just take a second to acknowledge that the first Five Nights in Anime got 3.5 million downloads, whereas Five Nights in Anime 2 got 1.8 million. So you guys are all out there, so just tell me in the comments what's happening.
Getting close to the end, and in number 3, Five Nights at the Car. The description of this game, okay, is, hey bro, thanks for doing this job. You are a 10-year-old kid who is in the car at the mall waiting for your mom, but weird things want to kill you, so your job is to protect yourself from them. If you're hearing this, you're crazy. What? This thing is so absurdly bad, it hurts me. The game, if I can even call it that, is literally just a PNG file. And it looks absolutely atrocious. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I know it takes a lot to make a game. But I could make a game better than this. This isn't even a game. It's a picture. It's multiple pictures. This is just a cardinal sin of humanity, and it needs to be put down. I hope this was a joke, because if not, this is why William Afton started killing.
Number 2, Five Nights in Anime. I mean, I know that people's love of animatronics can get a little weird. Well, it can get a lot weird. But even I was surprised to learn that this game existed. And I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise. A lot. I thought I'd seen it all, but apparently I hadn't. Enter Five Nights in Anime. This is a game that was created to parody Five Nights at Freddy's. Instead of you being a security guard at Freddy's, you've been hired as a late night security guard at an anime convention, and it's up to you to watch these anime girl style animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. We've still got the core cast of animatronics here with a few original additions, but they're all just stylized as well-endowed anime ladies. Because I guess why not? I think the really weird thing about this game is how many people seem to want more of it and want a version that leans more into this genre seriously, as opposed to being a parody. Even though it's firmly stated like this is just a joke, it's just a parody. Yikes.
And finally, in at number 1, Five Nights of Love. Ah yes, the game that I didn't know existed, but had a feeling it would. This game actually inspired this whole list, and I didn't even know it was real until I looked it up. So that just goes to show what this fan base is like. But I figured if KFC has a dating sim, FNAF must have one too, right? And it absolutely does. Yeah, you heard me right. Five Nights at Freddy's dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not. With a human trapped in a suit or even just a pile of trash, you'll still ship it. And it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras the rooms of the public place, whatever this place is, a player will periodically meet the live toys of the animatronics of Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With every one of them, the player can have a heart-to-heart talk or they can hug these unfortunate freaks, as the game puts it, giving them all of their love and attention. Thanks to this treatment, the level of the toys' love towards you will only increase by 5 or 10%, unfortunately. But like when it's me, it's gonna be higher. But as consequence, the level of your energy will decrease by 10 or 25%. Once your energy is done, you have to return to the office and then start the next day. And partially, the player can refill their energy at Balloon Boy by 50% at once or something like that, if you're lucky. I don't know how it works. But over a period of 5 days, you're supposed to make these animatronics as happy as possible, earning bonus scores for that. The more points you get, the more successfully you've completed the game. Why is this a thing? And at 10, Reaper Balloon Boy. Reaper Balloon Boy was introduced in Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken before being brought back in Final Nights 4 Fates Entwined. However, his Final Nights 4 appearance is much worse, so we'll be focusing on that one for this number. Reaper Balloon Boy's body appears to be immense for a small animatronic. He has long, extending arms with blue and red striped sleeves, and has protruding fingers at the ends of his hands. I mean, like, of course they're protruding, but like it's weird. He also has many red scratches all over his body, possibly resembling human cuts. In Final Nights 4, however, his appearance becomes more disfigured and rough, with his face and fingers being stretched out even more and sporting multiple sharp-looking blades on his propeller cap. Reaper Balloon Boy appears in Investigation 4 in Final Nights 4, and he, along with the other Reaper animatronics, try to attack Max Donovan in the hospital bedroom. If the player hears him laugh, they must go up and shine a light on him with the flashlight to repel him. The weirdest thing about this animatronic, though, is that his museum description reads, quote, "not related to Danny DeVito." And at 9, Motorcycle Ballora. This is on the list because it's weird, okay? Look, it's not scary, but it is definitely weirder than a lot of things that we've seen here, so yeah, I mean, honestly, it probably should have been higher. Someone turned Ballora into a motorcycle though, and I don't know why. Look, I'm all for whatever you're into, okay? No judgment zone here, as long as it's legal and doesn't put anyone in danger. But this obsession with riding Ballora, okay, at this point, it's too much. It puts my mental stability in danger, and honestly, that's already dancing on the fence, so even like the slightest push will send me spiraling towards even more FNAF madness. Like, why? Why did you do this? What compelled you to make this character? And what the hell is her back wheel made of? And at 8, Steampunk Freddy. No doubt inspired by the steampunk event for FNAF AR, Steampunk Freddy is one of the tamer variants on this list. And while changing the character to be steel and gold may do the trick, the different interpretations are what make this version weird enough for this list. Particularly the Steampunk Titan Funtime Freddy created by Hero Golem on DeviantArt. This thing looks like a beast and would honestly make me throw my pants at it. I don't know, okay, look, they're more so weird rather than scary, however, making their original appearance in the Fan Alternates of Funtime Freddy list, even if they aren't gold and are instead purple. I have no doubt that this thing would still crush me in a dark alley. I'm too scared to say this thing that isn't steampunk because there's no copper. It doesn't look steampunk, but it also is steampunk, okay? If I say that he's not steampunk, as soon as I step off screen, he's gonna snap my neck. And this is only number 8. This is already weird, okay? Just wait until you see the others. This is gonna be a wild list, so stick around. Speaking of sticking around, why don't you do us both a favor and hit that like button and subscribe? It really helps us out and helps the channel grow. And at 7, Fred Trap. To be honest, I searched this up just for the hell of it, and there are actually Fredbear versions of Springtrap. Fred Trap is exactly what you'd expect. Springtrap's look on a yellow Freddy animatronic. The designs are actually really well made, and honestly are weirder than normal Springtrap to me. I guess bears in this case are weirder than bunnies, or I guess we've grown up with Springtrap, but I think that Scott made William use the Spring Bonnie suit because of how scared Scott himself was of Bonnie, but that could just be idle speculation. There are also even more rundown versions and even scrap versions of Fred Trap, which are actually haunting and less weird. But still, either way, it would still be William inside the suit and being kept alive by the spirit of a dead kid. And yeah, that's weird enough in normal FNAF, so here you go. And it's 6, Endo Baby. No, okay? That's all I'm gonna say about this thing. While Baby may not be the scariest animatronic, at least they aren't whatever the Rocky Horror Picture Show bullshit this is. Removing the animatronic casing from Baby just makes the character bone-chilling. And not even in like a scary way, like in a really uncomfortable way. Why does it need so much interior if it's an animatronic? Just make a normal endoskeleton with a containment chamber and like a grabby arm thing. You don't need all these extra embellishments and cords. I get that they have to fit the technology in there, but this is a universe with discs that can change what you see based on sound. They made the technological reality stone, but can't make her inflate balloons using a normal endoskeleton? Actually, now that I think about it, that might actually just be worse. Still, why the hell would you do this in any capacity, okay? Just leave her casing on. Undress it with your eyes like normal people do. Normal. Halfway through at number 5, Havoc Puppet. Havoc Puppet is responsible for the creation of every animatronic in Dormitibus, a FNAF 3 fan game, with the exception of one. Havoc Puppet is formed by a cracked and distorted version of the puppet's original mask, which is missing its lower half. And the head has a small hole above the place its mouth would be, and then 2 white pinprick pupils inside empty sockets with presumably pitch black everything else. The lower missing half of the main mask actually features 7 black tentacle-like extensions, 3 at the back and 4 at the front. The side 2 are used as legs, while the other 2 front ones are presumably like arms, and then the back 3 tentacles seem to be like tails. I don't get it. She also has a crack on the top of her head, okay? This thing is wrong. It looks like a giant messed up spider, and we know how I feel about spiders. I hate them, but this is still weird as hell, even for a puppet. And at 4, Fusion Baby. While I applaud the creativity here, these fusions of Baby with other Funtime animatronics are just frickin' weird. Whether it be putting Funtime Foxy's color scheme and ears on Baby, or just plopping Funtime Freddy's head on her body, the horror that is the fusion concept shakes me to my core. And honestly, even thinking about it, I want to stop recording this video. It's one of those things where like I hate it and it irks me in the worst way, but I still can't look away. Like when you want to watch something that you hate to see if you can handle it and you can't. Like that's me with these fusions. It's like a video of a spider, okay? I'm intrigued, but also I'm disgusted, so I'm avoiding it. Like, what the hell? Why do these work so well? Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Buff Ennard. Okay, I looked this up as a joke because Buff Helpy, and it turned out to be a thing, and that makes me upset. This can either be Ennard with just more endoskeleton stuff, like wires, tubes, tentacles, I don't know what to call it, but like that metallic stuff on his insides that makes him look more muscular, or it could just be adding more shell onto him and then giving him a speed up. That's the more popular one, unfortunately. And then there's the version that gives him a skin tone, and that's just messed up. Why is this a thing? Why did someone subject me to this? Because now you all have to see it. It's just, I don't know what else to say. It's nightmare fuel. It's at least as much nightmare fuel as Buff Helpy, okay, and you know that. I prefer Buff Helpy to this. At least Helpy is nice and he doesn't want to kill you and then shove himself inside you. That sounds weird, but you know what, I'm rolling with it. Helpy just wants to jump in balls. In a ball pit, okay? Buff Ennard just makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like that one time I went to the gym all over again. And yes, I went to a gym once. Thank you. But ultimately, in at number 2, Diner Ennard. Michael Afton. The boy who lived, come to die. I'm not even making a joke. This just looks like if Ennard were Voldemort and watched one too many like makeup tutorials on YouTube. And like when you see it, you'll absolutely agree. This is like the beauty YouTuber of animatronics. If James Charles, Jeffree Star, Tati Westbrook, and Nikki Tutorials had a love child and then killed it with extreme agony so that it could then possess an animatronic and then give itself a makeover, that's what this is. With all their combined genetics and lack of eyebrows, this could actually happen. This is the face of my nightmares. This is the one who was truly behind Dramageddon. If none of you understand that, this number is truly lost. But you know what? I guarantee 1000% that what I'm saying is perfectly accurate, even if you don't understand it. I had multiple sources. The 2 women who sit next to me verify this. I am right on this. And finally, in at number 1, Bread Bear. Oh boy. Bread Bear is an animatronic coming from the Day Shift at Freddy series, who was created by Dave by modifying a Fredbear suit. The character appears in Day Shift at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3. Bread Bear's appearance is oddly similar to Fredbear, albeit wider. He is a golden colored bear animatronic wearing a purple top hat and bow tie, 2 black and white buttons on his chest, and his gray metallic eyes. Thicker arms and legs, a squarish brown nose, small brown pupils, small white teeth, round ears with the insides colored lighter shades as you know they typically would be, and a very circular shaped stomach with like brownish shades. He's also ripped around his feet and like joints and I don't know. Fredbear also appears for real when Dave modifies an empty Fredbear suit and then unleashes it during the Sting operation on Friday, in which, depending on which route you take, it either attempts to kill Jack, it dies, or destroys the pizzeria and then sets itself on fire. Because of course it does, we love that. No FNAF game is complete without a fire at the end, right?
Number 10, Super FNAF 2, Wonderful Day. This game honestly looks like just a lot of fun. It's been in development since 2017 and is a platformer with lots of dark, hidden secrets for you to uncover. The trailer spins it as a game created kinda by Fazbear Entertainment to promote their franchises, who teamed up with obviously the company LSF Development to actually make the game. LSF Development is the actual creator of the game on GameJolt. There is no expected release date, but the creators are hoping to have it ready soon. At least that's what their page says. I love that it appears as a legit 80s or 90s inspired platformer, but that there are also some dark secrets via perhaps glitches that will likely come up in regards to the true stories behind the restaurants and the animatronics. I also just love that it takes its name from Circus Baby's speech about her wonderful day. I see what you did there, and I like it. Number 9, Fredbear's The Origin / FNAF. Fredbear's is a game that was meant to establish the lore as reimagined by fans of the first Freddy's location, Fredbear's Diner. It's implied based on teaser trailers and the description that you, in fact, may play as the killer in the series, but that at least for a time you're kind of unaware as to if you're responsible for any deaths or if something else might be going on. All in all, it sounds very creepy and mysterious and a little confusing for this story, which I am into. I mean, if I didn't want confusing, would I even be talking about FNAF right now? However, this game seems to have been in development since 2015 and doesn't offer too much in terms of giving us glimpses into what could be upcoming gameplay. Fredbear's is being developed by Copal Images, if it's still being developed. Our last little bit of intel was an opening scene still, which was shared 1 year ago on the GameJolt page for this game. Number 8, Five Nights at McDonald's. This was one of, if not the FNAF game to enter development first. This was one of the first, if not the first FNAF fan game to enter development. We're not really sure how far along this game is, but we know it's been in the works for apparently 7 years. The graphics make it look like something that could be released for like Nintendo 64. But hey, Nintendo 64 is well loved by many of us, so that might not end up being a bad thing if it ever actually does get finished. All we have to look at is some very blocky designs for characters and locations. Oh, and a live trailer that is admittedly pretty creepy, but also is live action, so it's more about giving us the feel for this game than any actual idea of what the game would be like to play. Five Nights at McDonald's is being created by Vortex Softworks, and you can follow along on the journey on GameJolt. It's also just a cool one to be aware of and to follow since it was, apparently like the first one. It's like a bit of FNAF history. FNAF fan-made history. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it, be sure to show us by giving this video a thumbs up. I love talking about all the cool fan-made stuff because the community is just so cool and creative, and I love it. So yeah, if you want more fan-made content, let us know. We can celebrate it. Number 7, Five Nights at Freddy's, Laughter and Joy. And we'll laugh and laugh and laugh. This game looks like it has a promising premise from the description, but it will likely never see the light of day or the darkness of night, as it's been in development since 2014. There also isn't much content on its GameJolt page to suggest that it is anywhere close to being ready, or that it has even been continually worked on since it was announced. What we do have is a plot that involves worldwide locations of Freddy's being opened up as the company goes international in an attempt to basically drum up more business. I mean, that feels like a risky move if you were struggling to do well already. Also, where would you then get all that money to open all those locations internationally? But still, it's a cool idea if you can suspend your disbelief when it comes to the actual business side of that. I mean, maybe they were just like, hey, you can open a Freddy's in your place, just like you have to invest all the money. And then I guess it's a good idea. Either way, it's still a cool idea if you can kind of suspend your disbelief when it comes to perhaps the actual business side of that. The other interesting info we are given is an idea of the animatronic roster, including a new animatronic named Jammy Jr., who I really want it to be a cannibalistic Jammy Dodger animatronic. I know that's asking a lot, and I know that we'll probably never get this game, but if that could be a thing, I would love it. Number 6, Animator's Hell. This one has a few demos available, but that's it if you're looking to play. It's by Gestalt Games and can be found on GameJolt if you're looking to check out what is available at this point. The good news is the second demo came out only a few weeks ago. The bad news is that the previous demo came out a year ago, so progress is evidently slow going, and it might mean you have to wait a while before you'll see another demo or even a semi-finished full game when it comes to Animator's Hell. Animator's Hell was tested out on Game Theory Live though, so if you are a fan of matpat, who had nothing but good things to say it seems, you might want to hit follow on GameJolt for this one, and stay tuned for when this game is fully released. Either way, you've got a couple of playable demos that you can do, and that's more than a lot of games have, so you should check that out. Seems like the demos are pretty fun. I haven't played this one, but it looks pretty fun. Number 5, Pyro Illusion. I guess a lot of these titles choose to be in all caps to, I don't know, attract your eye. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but there are a lot of FNAF titles that are all in caps. But before Pyro Illusion was Pyro Illusion, in all caps, it was Five Nights at Roxy's. This game has over 20,000 followers, but still doesn't have much beyond preview images and trailers. Of course, all the imagery and glimpses into the world and character design thus far look so good that everyone obviously cannot wait for this game to be released, if it ever does get released. When it gets released? D. Demku has been working on the game for 4 years on GameJolt, it should be noted, so hopefully they're getting close soon because, fans have been waiting for a while. Give us the game, we want to play! But also respect to people making games, because it's really hard work. So, also take your time. Give it to us, but take your time. But give it to us, Number 4, Pop Goes Evergreen. Pop Goes is one of the games that is part of the FNAF Fanverse initiative, and when I say games, I should really be saying the franchise, because Pop Goes has had full games released under the title, but they're now working within the Fanverse, which means some of the previous titles will no longer be considered canon. But this game, Pop Goes Evergreen, and the prequel game, Pop Goes Arcade, will be considered canon in the FNAF Fanverse, so yay. Pop Go's main character is an animatronic weasel, and while Evergreen is still in development, Arcade is available for you to play if you want to gear up for this exciting new title that will be canon within the FNAF Fan Extended Universe. Exciting stuff! Their page on GameJolt also has a free soundtrack song available for download that makes for some pretty good creepy mood music. Pop Goes Evergreen is being created by Kane Carter, so thanks Kane. Number 3, Five Nights at Candy's 4. This title isn't even fully finished yet. FNAF 4 is currently listed as just that, with the words working title following it in brackets. Five Nights at Candy's 4 is also created by Emil Ace Mako, the same creator behind the previous Candy's games within this franchise. And honestly, although there isn't much up for this game yet, it looks like one of the most scary ones to have come from this series. Five Nights at Candy's is also being welcomed into the FNAF Fanverse, so we can also expect to see these games making their way to consoles and mobiles soon. Ace has promised that this game will center more on Candy than on the rat, and will deliver tons more minigames because obviously minigames are the best. FNAF 4 seems to have been worked on for about a year, so while it's currently unreleased, odds are good we can at least expect to see this one at some point in the near future. Yay! Also, I feel like if you're part of the Fanverse, then that's a good sign. Number 2, Sinister Turmoil. Sinister Turmoil was a highly anticipated FNAF fan game that ended up being cancelled. Wah wah wah. However, the good news is there is a smaller version of the game available for fans to play that was released as kind of a final farewell to the project. What's really sad too is this game actually looks so good, so terrifying, and it was only in development for about a year and change before it was abandoned. So they didn't have that much time to create something something that was already looking so promising, and yet they did that. Here's hoping that we see more content like this from Angus Games and their team in the future, and that we'll get something else FNAF themed from them, hopefully. The other thing that I love about this one is that it had a more mature rating in comparison to other FNAF fan-made games. So if you were looking for something that's like a little bit more adult in terms of the violence or the content, then this is a game that was trying to do that, which I appreciate as an adult that likes these games. Number 1, Porkchop's Horror Show. This game is a FNAF-inspired fan game with a very different premise from what I'm used to with these fan-made games. In Porkchop's Horror Show, you play as a contestant looking to earn money and fame as you attempt to escape a maze-like what appears to be asylum filled with death traps, while Porkchop attempts to hunt you down and kill you after tormenting you first. It's apparently not going to be an easy kill. That's what the description promises. Porkchop's Horror Show was, I believe, cancelled, but is currently uncancelled and maybe still in development. It is being created by FizzNom on GameJolt and has been in development since 2018. So hopefully it's uncancelled and we'll see it soon. 2018? It's been a while. Number 10, The Withered. What if you could play a version of the FNAF games where all the animatronics were severely withered? Would you dare? This is a fan-made game that a few developers have been working on to make happen, and it's definitely one that I would love to play. I personally think the Withered and Nightmare animatronics are some of the most scary versions that we have in-game, so to see a whole series where everything is withered sounds pretty terrifying to me. If you love getting jump scared to the point that you can't sleep at night, this is probably a fan-made game that you also need in your life. Also, what if the Wizards were more active in game? That would also be a cool idea, no? Number 9, Lego Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This is a game that is currently being developed on GameJolt. I just love the premise and design of the characters. The idea? It's a one-for-one copy of the original game, but with Lego versions of all the animatronics. So if you love Lego and you love FNAF, this one's for you. I especially love in the trailer how Bonnie just takes off their head to reveal the endo underneath, like it's a mask. Because I mean, you can do that with Legos. So neat. Lego Five Nights at Freddy's is actually a mod for the original, I believe, or it's intended to be, which is how it works to be an exact one-for-one. So the only thing you need to do is actually own the original to play this version. And then of course wait for the mod, and then download the mod, and then put it in. So a few more things. And friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are loving this list and you want to learn more about awesome fan-made games that we are expecting or that we'd love to see, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, FNAF Origins. Something that has always fascinated me when it comes to the FNAF franchise is the figure of William Afton. He's so mysterious and there is still so much we don't know about him. Why does he kill? What motivates him? When and how did that all start? To uncover this, I would love to have a game that dives deep into William's backstory, his origins, and the lore surrounding him. It doesn't have to be so on the nose, but just a game that even hinted at the motivations for this character would be cool. It could also be something more abstract, where we don't play explicitly as William, but simply a character that represents him. Though really, if I gotta pick, I would prefer something a touch more literal, as we already have lots of illusions in the franchise left to unpack and decode already. Number 7, Lego Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I think this is one of my personal favorites when it comes to Lego FNAF fan-made trailers we've gotten thus far. Something about how creepy it manages to be while still being Lego versions of the animatronics, that combined with the silliness of what a Lego phone guy would sound like, which I love by the way, it's just magical. Give me all the Lego everything, and especially Lego FNAF 2. Also, is it weird that I still find these Lego models really scary in FNAF 2? Like genuinely, these models creep me out. Maybe it has to do with how many Legos I have lurking around my home. Definitely keeping a closer eye on them moving forward. Number 6, Fredbear's Diner Family Vacation. We've seen quite a few games that are focused on Fredbear's Diner and use the location as a backdrop for a game similar to the general formula of FNAF. But what about a game that deviates from that formula? What I would love to see is a game where instead of playing as a security guard there, we maybe get to play in the role of someone who is staying nearby. I have this vision of a family on vacation, perhaps at a campsite near Fredbear's, who goes there every day for meals throughout the week. For some reason, I've always envisioned Fredbear's as being more remote in terms of its location, location. I don't know if that's just me. In this game, as the family continues to visit the diner, things get more and more strange until eventually their lives seem to be at peril. Will you escape or end up as the first victims of Fredbear's Diner? Sure, this might not fit within the main continuity, but hey, it's a fan game, so it doesn't have to. Number 5. Five Nights at Circus Baby's. Haven't you always wanted to go to Circus Baby's Pizza World? I know I have. This is what this game would be all about. Circus Baby is one of my favorite characters in the games, and once again, it would be so cool to travel back in time to see her origins and also perhaps see what happened to Elizabeth. I imagine the format for this could be similar to the others, with maybe the 5th night taking place during an actual shift where the place is open in the evening for a birthday party. As a security guard, you are tasked with making sure the animatronics don't step out of line, but obviously in the end you fail. Or maybe you don't. There's the possibility for an alternate ending here where, contrary to lore, you save Elizabeth and you end up a hero. That would also be super cool. Not all horror games need to have tragic endings after all, or at least not all ending options need to be tragic. Number 4. Pork Chop's Horror Show. We've been waiting for this one for a while. Initially it was cancelled and it became uncancelled, and yet we've still been waiting for over a year since then for it to be released. In this game, you are a contestant on a twisted game show of sorts where you must survive the murderous animatronic pork chop to win prizes, money, and fame. It takes place in what I assume is a potentially trap-filled meat factory where you run the risk, just by competing, of ending up as dead meat. Pun intended. I don't know if we'll ever get this game, but it's certainly the much darker take on FNAF that I think we all need. Number 3. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I love that LEGO FNAF 3 is also point number 3. Of course, I am also excited for the 3rd installment of LEGO FNAF, this one possibly even more so than the other two because of just how frightening LEGO Springtrap is. Something about how much faster he seems to move in this trailer, and just how toned down yet still somehow spooky he remains. LEGO FNAF 3 takes us into Fazbear Fright, the horror attraction, but Lego-ifies the whole thing. We've gotten a trailer so far where, just like in LEGO FNAF 2, everything seems to be Lego-ified. So it's not just Springtrap, but actually the whole location, down to every single detail, including the drawings, pictures, and posters on the wall. I love that attention to detail in those games. Number 2. The Incident. What do we really want? What do we really want? We want a game that helps to shed some light on an evening that has haunted us for many years. Or perhaps not just one evening, but a period of time. Although it is alluded to as being a single evening as well. That is the night when the 5 victims of William Afton went missing. I would love a game where you are perhaps playing as one of those 5. Perhaps you even get to choose who you want to play as, and each character's story is slightly different when it comes to gameplay. You know how the night ends, you know you're doomed, but you get to participate and witness as the horrible story of that night unfolds. I also just love playing through horror games where I kinda know I'm doomed. Number 1. Real LEGO FNAF. Well, we have 3 games that are currently in the works in regards to LEGO mods or versions of FNAF. The only thing is that these aren't original and sanctioned LEGO versions of the FNAF games. Important to be clear there. So fans of the LEGO games in general, which follow their own formula, might be disappointed in those previously mentioned ones. Fans of that series of games will likely need something more attuned to the LEGO games that they already own. In order for this to happen though, we would need LEGO to come on board. So this wouldn't so much be, I guess, a fan-made game as a sanctioned game working with the franchise, unless of course the people that were working on it were also fans, and then even though it would be more professionally made, it would still technically be made by fans as well. Technically, I guess any professional game, if you love it, you're a fan, so it's still a fan-made game? Whoa. Number 10. Five Nights at Flumpty's 2. I think one of the best things about Five Nights at Flumpty's overall is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. But the other thing that is really amazing about it is it's actually scary as well. It's like a parody game that will make you chuckle, but will also haunt your nightmares at the same time. While the original game was more in the vein of Five Nights at Freddy's in terms of its formula, Flumpty's 2 pushes the envelope even more, resulting in a more weird and horrifying experience for players in comparison to that first game. Just look at the room you start in after all, like what is even happening here? I'm not exactly sure about everything that's going on, but I definitely know it's not good. I also just think the mechanics in the game really add to the level of paranoia you feel while playing, like the laptop restart, which you have to go through every time you fully exhaust your laptop battery while looking at the security monitors. So don't do that. Don't let your laptop die. Also, it's not good for your laptop. Real facts though. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about more scary FNAF fan games, you know know that there are so many. There are so many we could talk about. So be sure to let us know that you love it by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 9. Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is another big FNAF fan game franchise, and this first one was simply the beginning of this spin-off franchise. Like some other games, Five Nights at Candy's also makes mention of Freddy's Pizza, but in this game, the restaurant no longer remains competitive because it's already been shut down. The design for Candy's and these animatronics also remains pretty frightening. Although I will say, I think overall FNAF is more scary if we're just talking about the first Candy's game at least. The main characters at Candy's are cat animatronics Cindy and Candy, but they also have lots of other disturbing and in some cases bizarrely cute friends join them. Like some of these animatronics are nightmare fuel, and then other ones I'm like, I kind of want to like be friends with that animatronic. Number 8. Pop Goes. Pop Goes has a new game that should be coming out with the FNAF extended universe with the FNAF Fanverse initiative, but while you wait, Pop Goes and Pop Goes Arcade are still available to play. I believe Pop Goes is where it all started, and it's a game created in the style of FNAF where you work at Pop Goes Pizzeria as a nighttime security guard. Pop Goes' main animatronic, you guessed it, is a weasel. A creepy weasel that throughout the night will sneak away to grab animatronic parts so that he can build his own horrifying creation. The game also features a panic meter which you have to keep low by looking out the window. Ah, so relaxing looking out the window. Watching the panic meter increase is enough to make me actually panic in this game. Number 7. Pork Chop's Horror Show. Pork Chop's Horror Show is an unreleased FNAF fan game where players attempt to survive a horror game show, risking their lives in exchange for the chance at winning fabulous money and prizes. The overall design of this game and characters look pretty terrifying, which is why, despite it not being released yet, many fans of the FNAF franchise were still excited to see and play it. Of course, it has been in development for a long time and has even been cancelled at least once, only for the promise of it to return to us, those of us who are eagerly awaiting its release. If it is ever released, it will be a combination of point and click mechanics and free roam. Until it does, we only have the stills, preview, and promise of it to keep us going. However, it is also part of the FNAF Fanverse initiative. Scott Cawthon announced on Reddit that its developer Fiznom would be bringing an original reimagining of FNAF to the FNAF verse. Although this game wasn't necessarily listed, a lot of us are like, that's gotta be Pork Chop's Horror Show. So who knows, it could still end up happening. Keep those fingers crossed, my friends. Number 6. Those Nights at Rachel's. Is this game just a better FNAF game? In my opinion, sort of. In this game, you are a security guard at Rachel's where you must try to survive through the entire night shift and prevent the animatronics from attacking you. The game was made in Unreal Engine by the popular and accomplished FNAF fan game designer extraordinaire Nick Som, who also designed another horrifying FNAF fan game you may have heard of, The Joy of Creation, and others within that series. So yeah, that's the level we're at with this. Some of the animatronics featured in Those Nights at Rachel's I actually find more horrifying to gaze upon in comparison to the core animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. The other thing I love about this game in terms of the horror elements when it comes to the game's story is that it actually takes place in the same world as FNAF, at least in the story it's mentioned. Freddy's is mentioned as being a problematic restaurant down the street whose controversies and scandals are actually negatively impacting Doug's and Rachel's business as well. Good old Doug's and Rachel's. Number 5. Five Nights at Candy's 4. Because in the world of FNAF fan games, some of these games have become so popular, they've even created their own series of games. There is just a very real demand for really good FNAF fan games, and Five Nights at Candy's was one of the breakouts when it came to being considered one of the best. Despite the fact that I ranked the first game in the series a little bit lower on this list, it's only because each game has really only improved on the creep factor here. FNAF 4 is not released yet, but appears just from the stills and the teasers on its Game Jolt page to be one of the most terrifying in that series yet. Five Nights at Candy's has also been welcomed into the FNAF extended universe by Scott Cawthon himself, joining the FNAF Fanverse initiative. Number 4. Final Nights 3. Nightmares Awaken. I think this one deserves to be so high up just for like the game's location. It takes place at a hospital and you must try to survive and somehow sleep while also dealing with Reaper animatronics, which is about as scary as you can imagine. Also, hospitals in general are just scary. In fact, it actually might not even be scarier than you're imagining if you haven't played this game before, so you need to go play it. Something as well about the idea of sleeping while all this madness is going on just breaks my brain in a way. Like, I don't want to sleep if there are things hiding in my closet. I don't want to do that. How am I supposed to sleep knowing that these Reapers are out there wanting to probably tear me apart? And every time I wake up, I'm probably gonna die. That's what's about to happen. I'm like, I can't sleep. Number 3. The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is the the game that started it all for this franchise. It was inspired by Boogeyman and FNAF 4. Here you play as Scott Cawthon himself, fending off animatronics who seem to be attempting to scare and threaten you to encourage you, I guess, to make even more animatronics or even more games. The Joy of Creation has some very disturbing designs when it comes to the animatronics, and although the game is simple, it's very well put together. The character of Scott in this game also seems to be a bit like William in the sense that he also apparently has animatronics and is warned at the beginning of the game that if he doesn't replace the mainframes on his animatronics, they're going to be like a danger to those that they perform for. So he seems to also be a builder of animatronics. This game, I believe, was only ever developed as a demo before it was abandoned, but if you love it and you find it as terrifying as I do, you can check out the finished and remastered version, The Joy of Creation Reborn. Number 2. Five Nights at Treasure Island. Five Nights at Treasure Island was possibly one of the first fan games ever made based off of the FNAF franchise, and I gotta say, it's a pretty good one. It still holds up to this day. This one blended together the mechanics of FNAF with the oh so cursed world of Disney. At least we all like to imagine the world of Disney is cursed. I don't know how cursed it is in real life. In Five Nights at Treasure Island, you face off against animatronics at Old Treasure Island, which are Disney icons including Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, or really messed up versions of them. Another interesting and disturbing part of Treasure Island is that the animatronics, or toons in this case, are all super twisted in some way. Honestly, in retrospect, this game reminds me now of a combination of Bendy and the Ink Machine mixed with FNAF. Number 1. The Joy of Creation Story Mode. I feel like The Joy of Creation has elements of FNAF 4, but if it was like maybe even scarier. This fan game is meant to be a follow-up that goes through what happens after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now of course, this is a fan game, so none of this is really considered canon, but it does a great job of encapsulating the feel of the FNAF universe and the lore, which is why a lot of fans will sometimes even consider it as part of the world when reflecting on certain characters and certain stories. It just fits so well. What makes it scary? The sound design, the whole atmosphere, the creepy story, the animatronics. I mean, it's really got the whole package, which is why it's number 1.
And at 10, Purple Guy Simulator. Okay, Purple Guy Simulator isn't exactly the weirdest game. It's something that I was actually asking for, but honestly, I wanted it in VR. But straight up, I love the fact that there is a Purple Guy Simulator, okay? Going around to Freddy's Pizzeria, killing kids and shoving their bodies into animatronic suits until you get caught by the cops is certainly something that I find blissful. Man, I hope, like, shrinks don't watch these videos. It's relaxing running around and trying to find a kid who's alone so you can shove a knife in their chest and then try to hide their body before another kid or a parent finds it first. My biggest question is, why do parents keep bringing their kids to these restaurants if children ended up going missing there? Like, who thought that the continued attendance to Freddy Fazbear's was a good idea? Like, hell, especially if I was the purple guy, because based on the time I played Purple Guy Simulator on this channel, damn, clean sweep. If I sneezed wrong someplace, okay, my father would prevent us from stepping foot within the same block of that place for years, okay? Which I guess, given the recent situation, is understandable, but not when I was 8 years old. In at 9, FNAF Go. So this game has not actually been finished as of yet, or at least to my knowledge, but it is a thing that has a page on GameJolt. The page for it describes this as a FNAF fan game inspired by Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Oddly enough, it's not the only FNAF fan game that I've seen that makes reference to Pokemon, although this one obviously would like to do a lot more than just blend the two worlds together, kind of like the whole Torchica thing from a previous video. As weird as it sounds, this is basically what we have with Special Delivery, which a lot of people love. So although it's definitely still a weird premise for a game, it also seems to be a potentially profitable one. But hey, just because something is weird doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad idea. Like me, I'm weird, but I'm not a bad... that's a horrible example. I am a bad idea. If you want to make mistakes, make me. And at 8, Five Nights at YouTube Office. How would you feel about working at the YouTube home office? I'm sure plenty of you think that that would be a dream come true. However, apparently, at least according to this game, please don't sue us YouTube, apparently there are YouTubers that sleepwalk into the office, and there are also certain YouTubers that haunt the office. Whatever that means, since from what I can tell, all of these YouTubers are still alive at the time of recording, and certainly at the time that the game was made. Basically, this game works as a FNAF 2 clone with YouTubers instead of the animatronics, where PewDiePie is the puppet, having to wind up music box to get him to chill. Because if not, you'll get the ultimate bro fist to the face and then get cancelled for associating yourself with PewDiePie. That's right, the actual imminent threat of this game isn't death, it's cancellation. Social death. Actually, not really, like you will get yourself got. But as a YouTuber, okay, which still feels weird to say despite it being my life for the past 3 years, I don't want to play this game, it's just concerning. And at 7, Bonnie Simulator. Speaking of weird simulators like we were in the first number, here's another one for you, Bonnie Simulator. I find this game to be both strange and delightful, but while Purple Guy Simulator is a game that I think many of us wanted, in a weird way, obviously I wanted it, I don't know if anyone was really demanding Bonnie Simulator, although I can't deny it's pretty fun. The question that the creator of this game had been asked is, why do we just play as Bonnie in this simulator, which takes place during FNAF 1? Why not any other animatronics? Well, that's because they only had so much time to make this game, and Bonnie is their favorite. You can't fault them for that. Although I do have to say, I would love to see their take on a Chica simulator. Hey, mommy! And at 6, Five Nights at the Chum Bucket. After the Krusty Krab was burnt to the ground by the rogue animatronic workers, the sole living survivor of the Inferno was taken captive by the robot's malevolent controller. When the player awakens, they are to find themselves trapped and located inside the security room of the Chum Bucket. Within the first and second night, the business official who talks to the player discovers that there is another survivor that is trying to save you. The business official decides to allow the other survivor to come and find you in order to kill you both. The player once again has to survive 6 nights against the animatronic onslaught as they wait for their savior, the man behind the door instead of the slaughter. While its predecessor game, Five Nights at the Krusty Krab, is certainly something, Five Nights at the Chum Bucket just seems even weirder to me. Like, why? Why would the Krusty Krab burn down when it's under the ocean? Why would we be kidnapped and placed into the Chum Bucket? What the ever-loving heck is going on in this god-forsaken game? Halfway through into number 5, Day Shift at Freddy's. Okay, this is a weird game for so many reasons, but even as we discussed earlier on this list, weird isn't always bad. This game is definitely weird, but it's also pretty great. In this game, you play as an entertainer / Freddy's general staff member who walked around inside the springlock suit at a Freddy's location entertaining children. Of course, it's not all fun and games though, because you're in a springlock suit. Not only is there a lot to watch out for and a load of work to be done, but there is also some fan-related jokes within the game that are pretty hilarious and also fairly bizarre. Basically, Day Shift at Freddy's has got it all. If you haven't experienced this bizarre gem, then go over to Game Jolt and do so now. Maybe if I'm in a springlock suit, I could finally make it with Chica. Day Shift at Freddy's is also one of it has its own franchise, but so there is more to play if you decide that you like it. In at 4, Five Nights at the Car. The description of this game on Game Jolt reads, quote, "Hey bro, thanks for doing this job. You are a 10-year-old kid who was in the car at the mall waiting for your mom, but weird things want to kill you, so your job is to protect yourself from them. If you're hearing this, you're crazy." What? This game is so absurdly bad that it hurts me. The game is literally just a PNG file that looks absolutely atrocious. Don't get me wrong, I know it takes a lot to make a game, but I could have made a game better than this. This is just a cardinal sin of humanity and it needs to be put down. I hope that this was a joke. It has to be a joke, right? I've talked about this game multiple times previously, and honestly, I haven't been able to get it out of my head since that first encounter. It's like it's stalking me. I still have sleepless nights because of this damn thing. Download it so you can see the PNG files. Actually, you don't even need to. Go to the Game Jolt page and just look at the images. There you go. That's the game. Getting close to the end in number 3, Five Nights at Anime. Luck. I know that people love the animatronics, and sometimes it can get a little weird, but even I was surprised to learn that this game existed. That's right, I was surprised, and I have made 2 jokes about making it with Chica this video. And I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise, okay? A lot. I thought I had seen it all, but apparently I haven't. Enter Five Nights at Anime, or in anime, whatever it's called. This is a game that was created to parody FNAF, obviously, but instead of you being a security guard at a Freddy's location, you've been hired as a security guard at an anime convention, and it's up to you to watch these anime girl-style animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Yeah, we've got the core cast of the animatronics, but just stylized as well-endowed anime ladies, because why the f not? I think the really weird thing about this game is how many people seem to want more of it, and want a version that leans more into this genre as opposed to it being a parody. Yikes, like I'll make the jokes, but I ain't playing this game unless I make a Patreon. And ultimately, in at number 2, Five Nights in Anime 2. Just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, Five Nights in Anime has a sequel. Oh boy. And the hits just keep on coming. This version of Five Nights in Anime is even more bizarre, and it's really more of the same, but even weirder, with the same tropes, but this time parodying, you guessed it, FNAF 2. My question is, if this is a joke and a parody in the same vein, why did we get a sequel? Like, I know why, but I don't know. There must have been people asking for it. Because this is a thing that is real. Also, let's just take a second to acknowledge that the first Five Nights in Anime game got 3.5 million downloads, whereas Five Nights in Anime 2 got 1.8 million. So at least they relaxed a little bit after the first one. It's better than that one mod for Security Breach that people keep telling me to download in my Instagram DMs. People, you do realize what platform this is, right? The only way I could do that is if I started a Patreon for those games. Wait a minute. That could work. Oh wait, no, I'm not famous enough for that. And finally, in at number 1, Five Nights of Love. Ah yes, the game that I knew existed, but didn't know it existed until I looked it up. This game actually inspired this whole list. And you know what? I was hoping it wasn't real, but it is. I figured that if KFC had a dating sim, then FNAF must have one too, right? And it absolutely does. Yep, you heard me right. This is a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, as we explored in a previous video, okay? Entered X Exotic Butters, really? Whether it be a human trapped in a suit with just a pile of trash, you'll ship it. And honestly, it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Remember when I was talking about Fun Time Freddy Facts and I was doing the whole dating show joke? Yeah, that's this, okay? Tracking via cameras the rooms of the public place, a player will periodically meet the live toys, animatronics Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With every one of them, the player can have a heart-to-heart talk and hug these unfortunate freaks, giving them all their love and attention. Thanks to this treatment though, the level of the toys' love towards you will only increase by 5 or 10%, but the level of your energy will consequentially decrease by 10 or 25%. Once your energy is out, the player has to return to their office and start their next day. Partially, the player can refill their energy at Balloon Boy by 50% at once if you're lucky. Over the period of 5 days, you are to make as many animatronics happy as possible, earning bonus scores for this. The more scores you get, the more successfully the game is completed. Dear God, why is this a thing? You want to make it with an animatronic? Then play Five Nights of Love. In 10 Sinister Turmoil Sewers. Sinister Turmoil was planned to be a full game set to release sometime a few years ago. However, the full game never came to fruition. Mangle was planned to be the main antagonist of that game, where they were using the name of Prototype Foxy. However, while the whole game wasn't released, we managed to get Sinister Turmoil Sewers instead, which was a snippet of what the full game was intended to be. In the game, you are trying to escape a Freddy Fazbear themed amusement park, when your friend says that to escape, you need to head through the sewers. However, when you enter, you realize that Mangle was set loose down there, making me believe that this friend had set you up. Maybe he was supposed to be William Afton in the main game. The game from then on is very reminiscent of the Corn Maze minigame from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for Help Wanted. I've played through that minigame multiple times, and the two games are very similar. In Sinister Turmoil, which did come out first, there is a cupcake that follows you, and if you don't pay attention to it long enough, it decides that it's going to scream like a child and will alert Mangle to your location. And in Corn Maze, there are crows that stand on the ground in random places, and if you step on any of them, they let out a loud cry and fly away, which is by far the worst part of that minigame, but they also alert Foxy to your location. The main antagonist of both games is also a version of Foxy, Mangle in Sinister Turmoil and Grim Foxy in Corn Maze, which makes me think that someone got their ideas from elsewhere there, Scotty. In at 9, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is the first in a series of 5 Candy's games that includes 4 main titles and the remastered first game after Freddy Fazbear's closed for good. It's clear the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment, so Candy's decided to take their shot. What could go wrong? The gameplay is similar to that of FNAF, however you have the added ability of having night vision in the cameras, and they added a 3rd floor in the form of the office window, which adds more complexity and difficulty to the gameplay. The first game includes 13 characters, including the beloved phone guy, obviously a different phone guy, but we all love the phone guy, and the title character of Candy with her merry band of animatronic killers. Cindy, Blank, Chester the Penguin, damn it Batman, I thought you had dealt with him, Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Candy, Origami Cat, and the Easter egg Markiplier animatronic. Who do you think the king of FNAF is? Let me know below, and if it's not me, don't comment. 400 FNAF videos, okay? I think I deserve it.
No one's going to agree.
Not even my friends call me the FNAF king. And at 8, One Night at Flumpty's. The Game Jolt description for this game is, quote, "This game is an inside joke. There's no backstory, no meaningful undertones, nothing to theorize about. It's just for fun, so have fun." And after dealing with this series for 7 years, we know that there is always more to the story. This wonderful fan game includes characters such as Flumpty Bumpty, Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, who is a real eyesore, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty, and the Owl. The game plays similarly to FNAF with relatively similar mechanics, however there is also a hole in the wall where Grunkfuss appears, and the game is all hand-drawn, which while making things slightly less terrifying, it makes it kind of personal and can give you like a more of a personal feel to the game, which can be good if you're looking for that kind of connection with the game. And if you do want to theorize, there is bound to be something to theorize about for it. I don't know, we need to get like a whole crew together and try to connect all the FNAF games and like all the FNAF fan games into the lore somehow, like, cause like since, I mean like the Fanverse initiative is coming and this is a part of the Fanverse, right, isn't it? So, or is that just Pop Goes? I don't know if Flumpty's is getting one. And at 7, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is sure one hell of a clever name. The Joy of Creation, or T-Jock, has a unique viewpoint because you play as the one and only Danny DeVito. Sorry, I'm kidding. I mean Scott Cawthon. Autocorrect. Created by Nixon, the story is set after Scott has ended the FNAF series. After he does, however, the animatronics go absolutely berserk, break out of the games, and come to take from him what he took from them, their lives. And considering how this is what Glitchtrap is trying to do currently, that's kind of terrifying. After the production of another game was cancelled, the game transitioned into the Joy of Creation Reborn. The game has several modes, including the original Survivor mode and the more recent Story mode. The game features ignited versions of the original animatronics, and they look straight up terrifying. It also includes a Halloween version which has an ignited springtrap, which is absolutely the worst thing ever. This is one of the scariest games on the list, and the Story mode is the most terrifying game mode out of the ones that you can play. Like, even looking at the trailer gives me the heebie-jeebies, but we all know I'm a little And at 6, Dormitibus. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of horror and panic while all you have to defend yourself is a rusty old desktop and your own reflexes. You are challenged by a whole host of robotic monstrosities, but the thing is, they used to be your friends. Who are you? Where are you? And what the hell is going on? You'll just have to figure that out for yourself. The reason I found out about this game is thanks to a Reddit thread where someone said that the game had an incredibly messed up story. And I mean, like, they didn't use those terms, they used more vulgar ones. They said it was incredibly story. But the story of this game should be discovered by you, so I don't really want to spoil it. But the game ties itself into the lore of the series up until Sister Location and the Silver Eyes and FNAF 4, since this game was released before those were announced. But I mean, like, they should have expected this, in all honesty. Like, Scott releases something new every 3 months, or at least he was at that point, so I don't know. You should have guessed it. Halfway through in at number 5, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awoken. Final Nights is absolutely terrifying, okay? If you haven't seen the top 10 scariest FNAF animatronics video yet, go watch that, because I talk about the Reaper Puppet, which is like the first time I've ever talked about a fan animatronic on this channel, and it's haunted me ever since. In that video I said that the Reaper puppet looks like a weird version of Jeff the Killer, and I'm not wrong. The whole series is populated by messed up versions of the original animatronics, like Withered Toy animatronics and the Reaper animatronics appearing in the third game along with the Reaper puppet. And Reaper Balloon Boy looks like something I've actually seen in my nightmares before I ever heard of the series. The third minigame in the series, which is the one I'm most familiar with, has you literally staying in a hospital room while animatronics attack you, which is incredibly rude. Like, come on man, I'm recovering, I'm paying hospital bills for this, but you're still going to invade my personal space like that? While yes, in that game you need to survive until the morning, you actually need to sleep to make any progress, leaving you extremely vulnerable. It's an incredible game mechanic with terrifying animatronics and an interesting way that the original series could have gone, but I'm really glad that they didn't, because this is actually just terrifying. And at 4, Super FNAF. Remember FNAF World? Yeah, I know you wish you didn't. However, if you were to try and play through FNAF 57 Freddy in Space in 16-bit, would you do it? I think we all would, because we all know that it's the best game in the series. Super FNAF is a 16-bit FNAF platformer released on the 23rd of October in 2016, and it tries to pay homage to the original FNAF World game where it drew its inspiration. There is an arcade game, a story mode, a free mode, side quests, and so much more. There isn't a secret objective to gather clocks and leave clues in the real world though, which is good. Even though, I mean, like, I feel like that would be pretty dope and give you a reason to play this game over and over again looking for it. No. The original story mode contains 6 nights and has you guiding the original animatronics through the FNAF 1 location in platforming fun that will remind you of classic Super Mario and FNAF combined. Definitely one to try out even if you don't like platformers, but if you do like platformers, then you should definitely check it out. Getting close to the end in number 3, Bonnie Simulator 2. Have you ever wanted to kill kids?
Why not?
Okay, now, how about in video games? Yeah, we're friends now. Well, how about killing a security guard while you travel instantaneously from camera to camera while he tries to survive? Well, if the latter sounded good to you, you probably wanted to play as an animatronic. In the series of animatronic simulator games, you can play as one specific animatronic. In Bonnie Simulator 2, you can play as Chica. I'm kidding. No, you play as either Toy Bonnie or Withered Bonnie, where you travel from camera to camera trying to attack the guard, obviously. However, they made this game much more difficult, so the guard is pretty smart at like for a decent amount of the game. I feel like they should have difficulties where you can like select YouTubers, you know, like a Markiplier difficulty or a Dako or matpat difficulty. I don't know, I think that would be fun. But I don't think it's in production anymore. But if someone wants to do it, I feel like you can, okay? That idea is free, but the whole concept of a Bonnie simulator, that's not free. You're gonna have to talk to the guy who made it. Penultimately, in at number 2, Pop Goes. A story based on the first 3 FNAF games, Pop Goes, like many others, is a competitor and successor to The Way of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A year after the fire at Fazbear's Fright, a rich and creative inventor in England, only known as Fritz, has taken on the role of continuing the animatronic pizzeria brand with his own restaurant called the Pop Goes Pizzeria. They had extremely advanced robotics, but nothing like possessed animatronics that had dead kids stuffed inside them to create soul-infused metal, so that's good. This pizzeria was far ahead of its time. 3D printers in every room, touchscreen devices for the kids. It was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but better and without the child murder. So, that's good. But Fritz never built the place for customers, he built it for himself. And as a night guard, you are a part of the scheme. So let's get started and help Fritz out. Some observant viewers may have noticed that the name Fritz is kind of familiar, and it is. It's the name that Michael used as one of the night guards in FNAF 1, and it's the name of the child who was stuffed into Foxy, as we know from the gravestone ending at least. Well, I mean, okay, it's pretty well established at this point, but what could this man be doing? Is his real name actually Fritz? Do we know who he is? Is he related to us? Play the game to find out. And finally, in at number 1, A Shadow Over Freddy's. A Tableau FNAF game with the ability to explore the entire pizzeria. You have different objectives instead of typical gameplay, and the whole exploration thing has got to be inspired by the Game Lab episode of FNAF. I feel like that's kind of where everyone was getting this idea. The way you can complete these nights is by completing your objective, not surviving until 6 AM. However, you do actually have to complete it before 6 AM. You have no power to hinder you, but you also have no time to save. Plus, the game is entirely in black and white, which makes it even more intense. And the fact that you can't see colors of the animatronics makes them harder to spot, and it will keep you on edge, questioning every single thing you see on screen. Was that something, or was it just the light? Was that me making the sound, or was it something else? Where the hell is the fan? Nobody knows. The scariest part of this is that you're not done until you complete your objective, okay? No biding your time, no cowering in fear, no hiding. You need to move. And you know what? That's horrifying. I'm a little bitch. I like to hide, okay? We all know this. And at 10, Five Nights at the Car. This game makes me need to go to confession because the sheer amount of rage this game fills me with. The pure anger I feel thanks to this game cannot go away. I can't even call this a game. It doesn't deserve to be on this list because, well, it isn't a game. This is a goddamn set of 3 pictures. Nothing more than that. Just 3 goddamn JPEG files, not even PNGs. How was this allowed to be on Game Jolt? Is there no rule that there has to be an exe file? Like, this makes me so angry. What the actual hell? The description of this game is even worse. It's, hey bro, thanks for doing this job. You are a 10-year-old kid who is in his car at the mall waiting for your mom. But weird things want to kill you, so your job is to protect yourself from them. If you're hearing this, you're crazy. End quote. What? This thing is so absurdly bad that it hurts me. This is literally just a JPEG file that looks absolutely atrocious. Like, I know it takes a lot to make a game, but these images were made in what looks like MS Paint, not even Paint 3D. I could make a better game than this. Like, this is just a cardinal sin of humanity that needs to just be taken out back right between the eyes. That's why I will send you to confession. This is why I need to go to confession. And at 9, Five Nights at F-Boys. Five Nights at F-Boys is a FNAF fan game created by Sabo Lin and Joshua Shaw, an RPG maker version X-Ace featuring unfair difficulty, text-to-speech voice acting, and beautiful animatronic yiffing. You control Freddy, who decided that he wants to have a radical night of hardcore debauchery, and the surveillance cameras of the pizzeria are the only thing standing in his way. With the help of Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, Freddy must destroy the cameras so that he can have the time of his life. The Game Jolt page lists the features as over 50 lines of voice-acted dialogue by text-to-speech programs, infuriatingly powerful and frustrating main bosses, even more infuriatingly powerful and frustrating bonus bosses. Seriously, even the regular encounters will fucking destroy you. Free money, Balloon Boy, Foxy pleasuring themselves, and Dragon adult recreational devices. Oh, homicidal party hats, and Tupac. And at 8, FNAF 3 PowerPoint Edition. I think this game makes some sense as to why it's on this list already. It's a game that, from the description, was made in PowerPoint. This FNAF game was made in PowerPoint. How the ever-loving hell did that work? How can you make a FNAF game in PowerPoint? Like, imagine if that's how Scott released the first game. That's just a freaking PowerPoint file. That would have been insane. Plus, this is just a very simple, like, click a couple times and get jump scared kind of thing. Don't even actually play. I mean, like, at least this jump scare is scarier than the original FNAF 3 jump scare, though. Zing! Like, this is just a sin because it feels bad and wrong to play it. Or to even have it downloaded, honestly. I thought that the whole it's a PowerPoint thing was a joke, but no. It's literally a PowerPoint that you just click through. And at 7, Five Nights at Wario's Debauchery Simulator. Made by Tonkoy on Game Jolt, the description for Five Nights at Wario's Debauchery Simulator reads, quote, Wario wants to find the murderer who killed them so they can go on a adventure that is full of MLG. And that's it. The credits are to WWW Wario for creating Five Nights at Wario's and Scott Cawthon for making FNAF. This is just a sin, not even if you play it, but like if you just so much as look at the Game Jolt page, you're going to hell. This just screams shit show, and to be frank, I don't really want to have to deal with it. This is almost certainly a riff on another fan game, which subsequently was inspired by Five Nights at Boys, so I don't know what to do anymore. Like, is this a fan game, or is it a fan game of a fan game of a fan game, or is it just like a fan game of a fan game? I don't know, my brain hurts. And at 6, Golden Freddy's Debauchery Simulator. The description for this game starts off with a warning right away. Quote, this is just a fan game for Five Nights at F-Boys and not a game by the original creators. I am not trying to take credit for making the original games, and I am just a fan of the original FNAF games, who had too much time on their hands. This is a Five Nights at Boys fan game where you play as the best character, Golden Freddy, during the 5 days prior to the first FNAF Night of Debauchery, as he has not just a night of debauchery, but a complete week of debauchery. But some F-Lord keeps shitting on everything he loves, progressively making stuff and contrived reasons for the first game's events ensue. And just like Five Nights at F-Boys, this has a list of unnecessary details. Unnecessary difficulty. Seriously, this game will kick your teeth in if you aren't prepared. Party hats everywhere. Terrible fan-made dialogue. Golden Freddy, brutal romantic pirate conquest, whatever that means. And finally, Wyvern adult battery operated fake extremities that I cannot talk about on YouTube. Yeah, it's one of those games. Halfway through into number 5, Five Nights at Chucky's. In a few days, the old animatronics are going to be replaced, although that means someone's going to have to watch over the restaurant during the transitionary period. And management has given you a new temporary position as a night watchman. You've been provided with security cameras to ensure your and the animatronic safety, along with a personal phone guide. It should be a simple job, right? This is an official, complete reboot of the popular 2015 FNAF Fan Game Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's, featuring new mechanics, graphics, and more, while still keeping the spirit of the original game. A FNAF fan game about f***ing Chuck E. Cheese. What the absolute living hell, people? Why? Like, I understand that Freddy's is a riff on Chucky's, okay, but we don't need this. This is the one thing that I thought was going to be safe from the FNAF world due to fear of copyright strikes or trademark law violations, but no, they just went for it. And it's a shame, because I don't want to suffer for the mistakes of lesser men, but I guess that I have to. And now, you do too. When my kid asks me to go to Chuck E. Cheese and I say no, they're gonna get all mad, but they're not gonna understand why. This is why. And for Purple Guy Simulator. Purple Guy Simulator isn't exactly the most sinful game. It's something that I was actually asking for, honestly, but I personally wanted it in VR. But straight up, I love the fact that there is actually a Purple Guy Simulator. Going around to Freddy's Pizzeria, killing kids, and then shoving their bodies into animatronic suits until you get caught by the cops is certainly something that I find blissful. It's relaxing running around trying to find a kid who's alone so that you can shove a knife in their chest and then try to hide their body before anyone, like another kid or like another parent, finds it. Oh man. My biggest question is, why do parents keep bringing their kids to these restaurants if children end up going missing there? And a lot of children when I play. Like, who thought that the continued attendance to Freddy Fazbear's was a good idea? Hell, if someone sneezed in the wrong way, my father would like tell us not to go there for like 5 years after that. Like, Barney was banned in my household for whatever reason. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, Five Nights of Love. Oh yeah. The game that I didn't know existed, but had a feeling it would. This game actually inspired a whole series of lists that even though I didn't know that it was a thing until I looked it up. But I figured if KFC had a dating simulator, FNAF must have one too, right? And it absolutely does. You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen, a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, breathing or not, with a human trapped in a suit or even just a pile of trash, you'll still ship it, and it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras the rooms of the public place, a player will periodically meet the live toy animatronics, Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With every one of them, the player can have a heart-to-heart talk or hug these unfortunate freaks, as the game calls it, giving them all of their love and attention. Thanks to this treatment, the level of the toys' love towards you will only increase by 5% or 10%, but the energy level that you have consequentially will decrease by 10 or 25%. Once your energy is out, the player will have to return to their office and start the next day. However, you can also refill your energy at Balloon Boy by up to like 50% at once if you're lucky. But over a period of 5 days, you are trying to make these animatronics as happy as possible, earning bonus scores for how well you do. Penultimately, in number 2, A Shadow Over Freddy's. A Shadow Over Freddy's is a short point-and-click exploration horror game created to showcase unique free-roam gameplay while keeping the spirit of Five Nights at Freddy's intact. This is actually a really good fan game, honestly. Playing as an individual trapped inside an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, you must traverse the location while avoiding the creeping darkness that infests every corner of the building. Complete different objectives each night, uncover your lost memories, and find a way out of this accursed restaurant. Relive the horror of the first FNAF game as you explore every nook and cranny of this dilapidated remains of the original location, but with a new twist on the formula that will scare even veterans of the series. However, the sinfulness of this game doesn't come from trying to sleep with or woo animatronics. Instead, it's sinful for the same reason that Purple Guy Simulator is. Because at the end of the game, it is revealed that you are William Afton. So yeah, you play again as the psychotic killer of the series. And as we hear Henry say in FNAF 6, we're keeping the devil waiting. And finally, in at number 1, Five Nights in Anime. I mean, look, I know that people's love of animatronics can get a little weird, but even I, of all people, someone who constantly jokes about hitting on Toy Chica and then actually goes and does it, I was surprised to learn that this game existed when Amanda mentioned it in the weirdest FNAF Fan Game collab video. I honestly imagined that this is what Five Nights at Love was going to be, and I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise. A lot. And I thought I had seen it all, but apparently I hadn't. Enter Five Nights in Anime. Oh boy, this is a game that was created to parody Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously, but instead of you being a security guard at Freddy's, you've been hired as a late night security guard at an anime convention. You know where this is going. And it's up to you to watch these anime style female animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Hijinks ensue. We've still got the core cast of animatronics, but just as well endowed anime women, because why not? I think the really weird thing about this game is that how many people want more of it, and like it got a second game. And not only that, but these characters, they aren't actually women. They're still animatronics. They're full on animatronics and they're not even possessed. So what's the point?